Hi everyone, I'm Any New Province, and this week we're going to play Zombie Tribal for Net Benefits, the series where we explore the benefits of net decking in Pauper. Zombies is an archetype that has been popping up a lot more often in Pauper, and it finally broke through and put up some amazing results by top 8ing the Pauper MCQ this weekend. So congratulations to John Poglodzinski for their finish with this deck. I can't wait to flood the board with zombies and completely overwhelm my opponent. Before I get into the deck tech, I just want to remind you that you can like the video or subscribe to the channel down below. I'd seriously appreciate it. It's a great way to let me know you've enjoyed everything, and it really encourages me to keep making great Pauper content. Alright, let's have a look at Zombie Tribal. We'll start with our zombies that have utility effects when they either enter the battlefield or die. It's crucial that all of our zombies are quality because we need a lot of them. First, we have Shambling Goblin, which costs 1 black mana, and when it dies, target creature and opponent controls gets -1/-1 until end of turn. It's a 1/1. Shambling Goblin's ability makes it able to effectively trade with a 2/2 creature, or maybe kill something else that took a little bit more damage in combat. It's awesome to have some kind of removal on a stick here. We've also got Festering Mummy, which is fairly similar to Shambling Goblin. It costs 1 black mana for a 1/1, and when it dies, you may put a -1/-1 counter on target creature. Giving a creature a -1/-1 counter is a lot better than just giving it -1/-1 until end of turn. Our counters from Festering Mummies can build up to eventually kill a larger creature. We're also running Sultai Emissary. It costs 1 and a black for a 1/1, and when it dies, you manifest the top card of your library, which means you put that card onto the battlefield face down as a 2/2 creature. Turn it face up anytime for its mana cost if it's a creature card. I'm sure you've noticed a theme with our creatures getting value as they die, so having a creature that can sacrifice our creatures for this value is great. That creature is Carrion Feeder. It costs 1 black mana for a 1/1 that can't block, and you can sacrifice a creature to put a +1/+1 counter on it. We're going to try to get in as much damage as we can with our small creatures early in the game, but eventually our opponent's creatures are going to start outclassing ours, things like Augur of Bolas. So Carrion Feeder getting huge and being able to continue attacking into our opponent's board is crucial. Next, we have some other payoffs for simply flooding the board with zombies. First is Gempalm Polluter, which costs 5 and a black with cycling black, which means you can discard it and draw a card if you pay its cycling cost. When you cycle Gempalm Polluter, you may have target player lose life equal to the number of zombies on the battlefield. This is a really cool effect. Not only do you get to draw a card, you're also going to dome your opponent with loss of life, so this can't even be prevented with things like Prismatic Strands. Finally, our last big payoff is Grey Merchant of Asphodel. It costs 3 black for a 2/4, and when Gary enters the battlefield, each opponent loses X life, where X is your devotion to black. You gain life equal to the life lost this way. If you've ever played against a Gary deck, you know just how backbreaking it is when your opponent slams one of these down and gains life equal to the number of black pips on the battlefield. It's just an insane finisher, and I'm glad to have it here. We get to run a couple of other pretty cool cards that are very synergistic with zombies, starting with Ghoul Raiser. It costs 1 black for a 2/2, and when it enters the battlefield, return a zombie card at random from your graveyard to your hand. It'll be really nice when we can actually select the card we want to get out of our graveyard if we only have one creature in there, but Ghoul Raiser entering the battlefield and replacing itself immediately is great, and definitely a reason to pay an extra mana for a 2/2. We also have Ghoul Caller's Chant, which is an awesome version of card advantage in this deck. It costs 1 black mana for a sorcery, and you can return 2 target zombie cards from your graveyard to your hand. Next, we have our removal package. Like I said earlier, we're going to be trying to get in as much damage in the early game as possible, so we want to be able to get rid of all of our opponent's early creatures. Our first removal spell is Vicious Offering. It costs 1 and a black for an instant with kicker. Sacrifice a creature. Target creature gets -2/-2 until end of turn. If this spell was kicked, that creature gets -5/-5 until end of turn instead. I love Vicious Offering. It's amazing that it can kill Gurmag anglers. It can act as kind of an interesting sacrifice outlet, and it's really cool that John included in this deck and did so well with it. I'm looking forward to using this. We also have 3 copies of Chainer's Edict. It costs 1 and a black for a sorcery that causes target player to sacrifice a creature. You can cast it again out of your graveyard by paying 5 black. Once we've hopefully cleared the board through attacking and making combat math awkward, Chainer's Edict will come through and take care of the rest of the creatures that we can't deal with, and it's a good thing John was packing these in the tournament because Boggles ended up winning, so we're going to need to be able to edict those Boggles. We're also running Nameless Inversion, a great inclusion in this deck. It costs 1 black for a tribal instant Shapeshifter, meaning it has all creature types. Target creature gets +3/-3 and loses all creature types until end of turn. We're going to be able to get back Nameless Inversion with our Ghoul Caller's Chance and our Ghoul Ragers a bunch of times so that we can continue clearing the board for our opponent. Finally, we have one main deck copy of Pestilence. It costs 2 black, and at the beginning of the end step, if no creatures are on the battlefield, sacrifice Pestilence. You can pay 1 black mana to deal 1 damage to each creature and each player. John Poglodzinski and Gary are going to do a great job of buffering our life total, and I can see games going long where we just slam a Pestilence after our opponent's at a low life total and just ping them out for the rest of their life. Finally, our last non-land card is a little bit more card advantage and sometimes a well-directed burn spell. It's Sign in Blood. It costs black, 4 sorcery, and causes target player to draw 2 cards and lose 2 life. Alright, let's have a look at this mana base. First, we have 2 copies of Barren Moor. They're cycling lands. They enter the battlefield tapped. If they're untapped, you can tap them for black mana, and you can pay 1 black mana to discard it from your hand and draw a new card. We've also got Bojuka Bog, some great main deck graveyard hate. It enters the battlefield tapped, and when it enters the battlefield, exile all cards from target player's graveyard. When it's untapped, it adds black mana. We're also running 19 basic swamps, lots of untapped black sources so that we can play our turn 1 zombies and get the beats going. Alright, let's have a look at this sideboard. First, we have 3 copies of Duress for pulling important cards out of our opponent's hand. We have 1 copy of Chainer's Edict if our opponent is boggling up or going heroic. We have 1 copy of Pestilence just in case we're going to be wrathing the board more often. We have 2 copies of Crypt Keeper as some more graveyard hate to go along with our Bojuka Bog. We have 4 copies of Choking Sands. This is for that Tron matchup. Going to make sure they don't assemble Tron. We also have 4 copies of Shepherd of Rot for really turning our clock up by dealing damage to our opponent equal to the number of zombies on the battlefield. And there you have it, Zombies by John Poglodzinski. Congratulations again on your finish at the MCQ, John. We're going to take this deck into a league at twitch.tv/AnyNewProvince this Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Atlantic time. We're there every Wednesday night playing competitive Pauper decks. Before I go, I just want to remind you that you can like the video or subscribe to the channel down below. I'd seriously appreciate it. It's a great way to let me know you've enjoyed everything, and it really encourages me to keep making great Pauper content. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this deck tech, and hopefully I'll see you on Wednesday night.